Greetings, this is Fallonheart, and hopefully I can get this up before the stream starts. I've got like an hour and a half or something like that. So, I was talking to a friend about Bioware games, like Mass Effect and the Dragon Age series, the other day. And I mentioned an issue I've been kind of feeling with the streams. And she suggested something that I've actually mentioned before. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it. So, basically, one thing playing Dragon Age Inquisition on stream has really made me realize is that this is not the kind of game that I really should stream in future. And what I mean by that is, let's have a look at Skyrim or Oblivion. Now, the biggest complaint I would give to myself with Oblivion is I used the console too much, right? I cheated through Oblivion dungeons and shit like that. It's like, and I actually got some like criticism from that from random people jumping in, and you know what, they're right. So I did a lot less of that in Skyrim. So I think the only time I did that is once or twice when fucking around, and then I reloaded just for the lols and things like that, or for taking pictures, so on and so forth. But the thing with Skyrim is, I know a lot about Oblivion. I know a lot about these games, both the lore and the mechanics. And because of that, when there's dead air, so I'm just traveling from one end to the other, I'm in a big fight that doesn't really require much brain power or reaction. Whilst I'm doing that, not much is going on really all that exciting on the screen. I can talk about lore, I can talk about game mechanics, I can talk about things that we've kind of encountered so far and give my opinions on them, so forth, so forth. I can fill in the dead spots because I have a lot of knowledge with these games. Now, with Dragon Age Origins, I didn't really need to do that because the game is so well crafted that the only places that there is a lot of kind of dead air are actually the two areas of the game that get the most complaints. One of which gets so many complaints that people actually mod it out, and that's the Fade in the Mage Tower. Because not only, especially if you play a mage, do you lose like all your power, but once you've been through that experience once, it becomes a slog on a second playthrough. Now, it is actually kind of interesting for a first time through, so during the stream there's a lot that I could talk about. However, the deep roads is another matter. The deep roads is just a long slog of fighting without much going on, right? And that one area that gets so many complaints by the fanbase is essentially all Inquisition is. It's just a lot of bullshit fighting. Inquisition, everything to do with Skyhold and the main quest, fun stuff, great stuff. But the bulk of the game is basically completing busybody, click on this, like busy work, click on this quests, and clear out these bandit camps, like Ubisoft kind of shit, right? It's a lot of bullshittery. In fact, my friend the other day describes it as basically almost like an MMO. I mentioned Kingdoms of Amalur. Kingdoms of Amalur was going to be an MMO. The difference between that is it actually has a fun combat system, which Inquisition just doesn't. It's like, none of it really feels all that impactful, and because it loses the tactics systems from the prior games, it really feels lost. It feels like a game that's trying to be something that it's not. At one point, I would have said Inquisition is the second best game in the series, and put 2 last. But streaming this has made me realize that it's not. It's the worst one in the series. Yeah, Skyhold is great. The NPC, the companions are great. The storyline is great. In fact, the storyline is miles better than 2. 2's is fucking, it jumps the shark too many fucking times. But the actual bulk of the gameplay, 2 is a better experience, which is saying something. Like, there's a lot of bullshittery in that as well, but for all my bitching and moaning about 2, it was a more fun game to stream, and that's with the main character voice acting, which I don't like. And then I thought, like, the last 2 times I've played through this game on my own, like, this is my 3rd time through, right? So the last 2 times I've played through this game on my own, what did I do? I shoved on YouTube, I shoved on Twitch, I shoved on Netflix or DVDs. I watched shit. I wasn't paying attention to the game. I was just completing busy work. like I'm doing the dailies in an MMO. I just did all the busy work whilst enjoying watching something else. Remove the other stuff that's actually keeping me entertained, and Inquisition is just a lot of bullshit. And it's worse here because I feel like my streams are becoming extremely boring because this is all I'm doing. So, what I'm going to do is, between sessions, I'm just going to clear out a lot of these areas, right? So, we're going to save handing in companion quests. We're going to save fighting the dragons. And we're going to save main story quests. However, in between sessions, I'm going to try and get as much basically clearing the zones out as possible. Now, I'm still going to be clearing the zones in stream, but I'm going to basically try to remove as much of that as possible. So when we are actually streaming, it's like the Elysian Court stream, right? Where there's actually interesting shit going on. That's more than just basically taking down a billion fucking rifts, right? Or killing the same handful of enemies over and over again, right? With nothing else going on. But what I have learned from doing this is that if I'm gonna play a game, it has to be one in which I either know enough about to fill in the dead air, or is a better crafted game so that that dead air doesn't really happen. And by the time it does, there's going to be a lot of packed up stuff to talk about during that point. Much like with Origins. Or it's a game that I know nothing about and I'm going in blind, so then everything is a new experience for me and you see what my reactions to shit is. So that would be more entertaining. Like, either I know a lot about something, or I know nothing about it when I'm going in. And if it does have dead space, make sure make sure it's not a lot of it. And when it does have that, make sure I can fill it. Because Inquisition I just can't fill all that dead space. I am not good enough coming up with shit on the fly, especially since I don't know really the lore about this world so much, and there's only so much I can really cover. So that's going to be the plan going forward. I'm just going to do a lot of this shit in the background, in between sessions, whilst watching YouTube and whatnot, and like Netflix and Prime and whatever the fuck I've got at the time. And I'll save, which saves more of the interesting stuff for the stream. So that's what I'm going to do. You guys, the only thing that'll change is you guys will see less of the Ubisoft busy work, right? So yeah, that's going to be the plan. If this is not something that you want, if you actually do want to see all the fucky aroundy stuff, let me know and I can change it back. But I do feel as if the Inquisition stream series is my worst stream series, because there's just so much bullshitting around. Whereas the other one felt more finely tuned. The other ones have felt more finely tuned. So yeah, like, I'm new to this obviously, and I'm only a small streamer, so I'm picking up a lot of this shit as I go. Another thing that I've changed through criticism is my UI. My UI was far more bulky back when I did the Oblivion series, and after I received criticism from that, I'm like, you know what, they're right, I'm going to change it. So that's how I ended up with this, which I much prefer, and actually use this for a lot more than just my streams now. This is like my default bullshit now. So yeah, see you in the stream tonight, if this uploads quick enough. If not, hope you enjoyed last night's stream.